Hello and welcome everybody to a new series I'm going to be starting, and this is going to be on how to create stuff using Blender. Now I don't know Blender fully and I don't know all the tactics or whatnot, but I know enough, and I know enough to teach you, so I'm going to try and do that. So we've just opened up Blender here, and we'll start off by pressing A. I'm going to go ahead and we're going to delete that by pressing the delete key. And then we're going to go ahead and do Shift A, and we're going to choose a cylinder, or you can go up there and you can go to add mesh and cylinder up there. And then you're going to have this menu pop up at the bottom down here. I'm going to go and click on that menu, and by default this will be a lot smaller for you. So we'll just go ahead and, oops daisy, tell you what, we'll just go ahead and do File New, just so I can start off with a fresh slate. So there we go. A and delete it all. Shift A, mesh. Going to go for cylinder. Okay, and what we're going to do is we're going to go for this episode is going to be on how to make a tree. So we'll go ahead and do 6 sides. I'm thinking maybe it's for my tree. We can go ahead and give it a little bit bigger, a little bit of more range, and we don't really want it to be that tall, maybe like that thin. Yeah, I think that should be good. So we'll go ahead and select A. And we're just going to go ahead and select the move tool. I'm just going to move that up into, so it's level with the platform there. Okay. So now what we're going to do is we're going to press Shift and middle mouse to drag. This is going to be your dragging movement. You can also scroll in. You can also just click the scroll thing to rotate around your object. And what we're going to do now is we're going to press Tab. And this is going to go into edit mode. What we're going to do is we're going to select 1, 2 or 3. 1 is our points, our little points of our poly here, and this is going to be, if you press 2 it's going to be set the lines, and if you press 3 it's going to be set our faces. Now we're going to be using our faces, so we're going to go ahead and press 3. What we're going to do now is we're going to just go ahead and grab the top half here and move that down and move it, scale it to how high we want it. So we're just going to give it like that for the time being. And what we're going to do is we're going to, because we want it to be a tree, we don't want it to be even. We don't want it to be just like a straight stick upwards. So what we're going to do is we're going to select our side face here. We're going to scroll around. I'm going to press Control and we're going to click there. I'm just going to keep clicking all the way around, and you can press Shift just to select one. Control is more like a snap, so it will snap around the object selecting it, whereas snap will just select a specific face or a specific line. So we're going to go and select that, and what we're going to do now is we're going to press I, and then we're going to go ahead and use moving our mouse. We can just scroll in and outwards, and that's what that's going to do. It's going to inset our object here, so we can make this like a really small bevel. So we're going to go for like maybe it's about there. We can always press S on it now to scale it inwards, and like that we just got a kind of nice sort of different shape to it, which is what we're aiming for. We're not aiming for anything like crazy, but what we can do now is we can also inset that, so we can get like a more of a bevel and more of a joint to the tree, right? And that's going to give us like a nice little joint. So what we can start to do now is we can select our top half of the tree here, and we're just going to go ahead and inset that as well. So we'll press I, we'll go ahead and inset this to small as we can. We may have to go a little bit smaller just to get it to be an even, like, oops. Yeah, that's as far as it will go, which is fine. So what we're going to do now is we're going to select our joint, or our part of a tree here, and we're just going to go ahead and select all the way around again, just like this. Yep. And then what we can do is we can press G, and we can just sort of like see how it's like pulling it, but it's not exactly like nice. It's not looking right. So we can go to proportional editing, and we can go and then select our different type of like joints on how it's going to move. So if we're going to go G now, and if we move it this way now, you can see how it's like connecting a little bit more evenly, rather than it being like so jagged like it was before. And we can go for other things like inverse square and all the other stuff. We can do random as well. But what we're going to do is we're going to start with the top of our tree, just like this. And we're just going to go ahead and just give it a little bit of more randomness to it. So maybe we'll go for random actually. And now we can just go ahead and start adjusting our tree and making it look a little bit more like a tree rather than just a stick. So again, pressing G to go ahead and scale them. And that's just going to give it like a lot more kind of uniqueness to it and a lot more round shape. What we can do here is we can just go ahead and select our tree here. I'm going to insert this again. Just give it like a more of a base to it. And once we've got a shape that we're kind of familiar with, or not familiar, but like kind of something we like, that's when we can start adding branches. So we can go ahead and we can just go ahead and grab this and hold. If you hold shift, you can do it a little bit more finer. If you hold control, it will snap to the squares on the floor here. So how is that looking? So that's kind of looking quite good actually. What we're going to do here is grab the bottom bit of our tree. I'm going to go with that. I'm just going to press G and just hold shift. I'm just going to make it so it's a little bit more in unison with the rest of the tree. Right? I think that's pretty good. So what I want to do is I think I want to have a branch off here. So I'm going to go press I. And I'm just going to scale it here. Right? And what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to press S. And we can just sort of like straighten out the tree. Just to give it more of a uniform like look to it, so to speak. And what we can do now is we're going to go ahead and press Shift A, and we're going to go ahead and put another cylinder in, and this time we are going to not have it as tall as it is. Okay, we're just going to make it a little bit less. There we go. And what we're going to do now is we're just going to not do that. Oh dear, that's not what I want to do. We're going to Shift A, click off of our object, Shift A. And we're going to go for a cylinder again. We're going to move. Okay, we don't want to move that up actually. Okay, we wanted to. What do we want to do? We want to select this out option here, and we want to go Shift A. And we're going to cylinder. And why is that? Align to view. Nope, that's not what I want to do. Align to 3D cursor. Yes. Okay, what? That's not exactly what I want to do either. Okay, that's fine. That's completely fine. We will do it another way then. So what we're going to do here then is, so this is our tree. Again, it's not exactly looking like a tree just yet, but we will be editing that and making it look like a tree. We want to, there's a button I need to do, which I think it is it P? Nope. There's a button that you can do to recenter stuff, but I can't remember what it is. Nope, that's not it. Is it O? Nope, it's not O. Nope. Okay, where is it? Ah, cursor. Is that it? Yeah, okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to move our cursor here by selecting our cursor. Now if we do a new one, we should be able to get it to spawn on... Yeah, it spawns on the right place now. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to bring our cursor here. We'll go Shift A. And we'll do another cylinder, just like that, okay? And we're going to make it a little bit smaller than that, and we're just going to go ahead and give it a little bit more size, okay? And what we can do now is we can move our joint here, because I said we want to have another branch off. And we're just going to rotate that around and give it like an angle at it, so it's coming off at the right angle. So maybe it's like that. I'm holding Shift to do a finer turn. And we just go and move that into place. So we'll go ahead and we will do a rotate again. Because it's not the right angle I want it to come off at. I want it to come off at like more of a right angle. Should be fine. And we'll move that into place now. Okay, why is it doing that? We're just going to select our actual object here, not the rest of it. Because what we're doing is selecting the rest of the actual tree. It's because we're doing proportional moving. We need to turn proportional moving off when we are moving this specific object. And then, yeah, there we should be allowed to go ahead and place it inside of our area that we want. Now, again, we're just going to have it like a branch off. So that should be good. And then what we can do is we can just make sure that's centered. And we make sure that is in line. That's probably good enough for me. And then we can go ahead and select our top half here. And we should be able to just scale that up. So what we can do is we can press E to extrude it. For the time being, that's what we're going to do. And then all we're going to do is the exact same thing as we're going to select around the object here. We select all around it. And we're going to go ahead and press I. And we're just going to scale that in. And then press I again. Scale it in. And again, select it again. And we'll scale that in as well. So we'll do I again. There we go. And you may have to select off of it to get like a more finer joint. But that's completely fine. So we'll press I again. Give it like more of a joint. There we go. Okay, so now we can do exactly the same as we did earlier. We're just going to start by messing with it. And we'll select our top part of a tree. Right? So it's not exactly straight because we don't want it to be, no tree is exactly straight. And then what we're going to do is we're just going to turn on proportional editing, and we're going to press G. And then we're just going to hold Shift again to do a finer tune. We're just going to give it like more of a unique shape to it, rather than having it all janky and not looking right. Okay. And we're just going to go ahead and do that for the rest of this bit. Again, just hold Shift just to give it more of a uniform shape and not necessarily like to be like looking like an exact like straight line. Okay, because no tree is exactly straight. Okay, there we go. So we're going to press G again, and we're just going to go ahead and do it again. So we get something that we like. I kind of like that. It's kind of like riggedy, but it's not right. It looks like it would be part of a tree part, and that's the kind of like the idea of it. So what are we doing next? Okay, so first of all we're going to go ahead and just, I also want to move this a little bit further out, give it more of an angle. And what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to rotate that top part to I need to on this axis here. Rotate it up so it's more straight, so it looks more right. I'm also going to straighten it out like that. There we go. Okay, and that'll do for the time being. That's quite a nice looking tree. Now we're going to go ahead and get the actual top half of the tree. So we'll go and do that. What we're going to do is we're going to press our cursor, bring it over here, turn off proportional editing, and this time we're going to insert a sphere, icosphere. There we go. And all we're going to do with this is we're going to go ahead and move this into place on top of our tree until it looks right for us, or what depends on what kind of tree you're making. For me, I just want it like a basic tree and want it to be kind of like showing off that it's a tree, and that's pretty much it. Now what we can do with this tree is we can come down here to our modifiers, and with this modifier we can add all sorts of things like smooth, and we can change that and it should smoothen it out a little bit more. We can also add stuff like curves, but I don't know how to use that personally. But we've got stuff, there's something we can do, subdivide. We need to subdivision surface. We're going to add that, okay? And what that's going to allow us to do is, if we go ahead and change it up a bit, it's going to make it a little bit more smooth, rather than like being blocky. and changing the render doesn't really do much, but it's fine. We want it to be a bit more smooth rather than being like blocky, I guess is the right way to do it. So we can just go ahead and change it to be smooth, and it depends on what kind of detail you want. For me, I just want it to be like slightly blocky, but not like all the way blocky. And I also realize I've got a circle there I need to get rid of, so I'll do that in a bit. And all we're going to do now is we can select our faces of our tree, right? We just scale them in, just to give us some scale and pull, and just to make it look not as round and give it a little bit more of a kind of natural look to it. Because again, it's going to be the leaves, that part, and we're just going to make it look not like a circle. Right, and that's going to be very, very nice for us. So we can go ahead and we can just go ahead and add another one of these. Now what we can do instead actually is we can just go ahead and put a cursor here and Shift A, just do exactly the same. We're going to do a sphere, icosphere, and we're just going to go ahead and move that into our like main part of the tree. Now this one I want to be a little bit bigger than the other one, because I don't want it to look like the same. So what we're going to do now is just scale that up, and I'm just going to fit that in properly so it looks quite nice, and that's quite good actually. Again, all we're going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and select a face. I'm just going to press G, and I'm just going to pull and push. And you can turn on proportional editing here if you wanted to. Depends on what you want. So if I want some randomness, I can do that. I can do this. I'm just going to make it a little bit less than a circle. Although it is a circle, I just want it to appear as if it's naturally generated rather than just been placed. Right? And eventually we'll get like a nice sort of tree shape that I want. And I want a little bit of a gap in between here if I can get one. So I can do this. All I'm going to do is I'm just going to turn off proportional editing here. And that should allow me to get like a little bit of a gap in between our tree and this one here. Alright. And as you can see, that's already looking quite good. And yeah, it depends on how much detail you want to actually add to your tree. For the purpose of this video though, I think we are actually going to be done there. So now we're going to go ahead and moving on to the second part of the video. How do we colour our tree? How do we get our tree to look like a tree? What we're going to do is we go to the shading tab. And I've just realised I've forgot to get rid of this part, so let's go ahead and do that. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to turn off proportional editing. Yep. I'm going to select our bottom half here. And I should be able to just... what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and scale it upwards like this. And I'm just going to make this kind of look like the bottom of the tree. Maybe it's like a trunk of the tree. I can probably make that like dirt coloured. And that's going to be fine actually. That'll look nice. Okay, so what we can do now is we can go to shading. And what we're going to do now is we're going to press new. Just like that. We're going to press Shift A. I'm going to go ahead and go to texture, image texture, and then we can go ahead and put this to smart. Where is it? No, linear. Put to smart. Put the color to base color, and then I will have a link for this folder in the this file in the description. And this file is going to be basically it's going to give you a nice little color palette that'll allow you to choose the colours of the tree. Now right now it doesn't look like a tree. It looks kind of weird. It looks very, very, very like weird. There's no way to put it. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to go over to UV editing. And we're just going to start selecting our faces. So we go to press 3. And we're just going to go and select our tree trunks here, because we want the tree to be brown, because trees are brown. Depends on what trees, I guess. And we're just going to go ahead and select sure we've got all the faces selected. So we can go ahead and we both press A actually. Press A. I'm going to press A in here. I'm going to press S. And we're going to press 0. And that's going to give us a little dot here. We can now scale that into any colour we want. So we want like a brown. So let's go and select the brown there. We're going to press this little circle in the centre here. And that's going to give us a nice kind of look at how it's going to look. What we can do now is we can just select our leaf parts because they're not going to be brown, are they? Being realistic. So let's go ahead and select them. We'll go ahead and just probably just go ahead and press Shift and then click. Select all these faces. And the idea is just select all the objects here that aren't, you know, coloured, of course. And once we have everything selected, all that we want, again we can press Shift here and just select this area here. And unselect the rest of the area that we don't want selected. It's completely fine if you miss parts, it's completely fine. And all we're going to do is just continue to do this, right? Until we have all the trees selected. Holding Shift, I'm just clicking the faces that are selected by a mistake, right? And all we're going to do is we're just going to find those faces and just select all of them faces. Just like that. You may have one or two faces as well inside and stuff. We're just gonna click them and get them away. Okay. So we're gonna make sure we get all the faces as we can, and then we will go inside the object and then we'll do the faces inside of them. So we should do this as well, and we'll do this as well. Make sure that I've got on that. Okay, now we'll go inside the object, and this is where we can actually get the faces on the inside. So we can go ahead and select all these inner faces here. And that's just going to get all the gaps that we missed. Right? So we need to go and get the bottom as well. So we'll do the bottom. Just like this. Like that. Just going to get that bottom in. It's going to take a second to find the right area. Okay. And we can see a bottom there, so we'll grab that. What we're going to do now is, again, we're just going to change this by pressing G. We're just going to move that to like a nice green, and we can see what faces we've selected and what faces we need to change back. And it depends what kind of green you want for, or you're going for. I'm going to go for that nice green. And I'm just going to go and unselect all these faces down here that I've selected accidentally. And we'll go ahead and change them back to a nice brown. There we go. Just like that. Very easy. What we're going to do now is select all the faces that I missed. So we can see all the faces I have missed here. And that looks pretty good. I'm going to go ahead and select bring that again, nice green. Try and see if we can match the tone. And we see we missed a face there. And we're just going to keep going at this until we've got all the faces that we've missed, of course. Try and see if we get the right colour. There we go. Okay. That's nice. And that's going to be our tree. Now what we can do now is we can actually give give the tree a little bit more of a, like, because right now it just looks like a tree, but there's no like differentiation of like what part of the tree it is, as an example. So we'll go ahead and I'm just going to change this and give it some more of a dirty colour. It looks like a more like it's part of the ground rather than a brown. Go for like that colour. It looks quite good actually. Yeah, that'll do for now. Okay, so what we're going to do is I'm just going to select these. See these little like inner parts here? It's hard to describe, but there are like inner parts. And what we're going to do is we're just going to select them and just give them a little bit more of a different shade of brown. So, oopsie, going to do that. We're going to press G. Nope. We go in here and press G. I'm just going to go and give it like a nice, I don't know, nice kind of like, not necessarily light, but like a, just a darker shade. And I'm just going to go ahead and that should be our tree. So what we're going to do now is we are going to go ahead and export our tree. So we'll go to File, Export, OBJ, and go ahead and save that wherever you want to save it. In my case, I'm going to do save it here. And we'll go ahead and press Material Groups, just like that. And we can go ahead and name it, give it a name. So we'll give it a name like tree. Yeah, why not? Tree, okay? And export. And that's exactly, that's all, that's it. How simple was that to make a tree that actually looks nice? Now what you can do as well is you can go to normals here. You press also smooth. I mean, you just increase that if you want it to give it more of a smooth texture. It is up to you though. So thank you for watching. My name's Ryan, and you want to see more videos like this in the future, make sure to like, comment and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.